Today, my presentation topic is about SLA and speech acts in Hebrew. The reason why I chose this topic because I'm always interested in this kind of language, and I had been in Tel Aviv for 3 months with the students there in Tel Aviv, and I want to do a small research on second language acquisition. And occasionally, I found the concept of a speech act. The first example come to my head was Hebrew language, because which have a different learner from very various backgrounds. So firstly, let's begin with the background. The speech act theory. Speech act theory is a bunch of pragmatics that studies how words are used not only conveyed by the present information, but also carried out different actions. And this kind of actions not only delivered to the addressees at the moment, but also can be inflect to the future. And this theory is developed by John Sally. He researched about what is the extent to which utterance can perform its intra and also extra pragmatic behaviors and its effects. In today's SLA studies teaching, the learning method has shifted from a grammatical or structural approach to cumulative approach. And this phenomenon reflects the assumption that grammatical knowledge is not enough to account for all the knowledge required to say a language. This is the opinion of Shoshana, wrote he in his newspaper from Jerusalem Hebrew University. And actually, acquiring the language, it is actually use a language appropriately in a certain context, which means that you can use the language correctly in appropriate context and environment. So the concept speech act itself is combined with social cultural features, which affects the communication in using a second language. Sometimes it can also cause by interactions. And my research content is about the difference between the Hebrew and the English, how the speech act appears in these two kinds of languages. My data collection process including to search the reference first, which is from Blum-Kura Shoshana's speech act in a second language research in Hebrew University, Jerusalem, and also another research to compare different speech act discourses in Baylor University, Ramat Gan. And also, I collect data from my friends and who is Hebrew speakers from Israel, and also learning English as a L2, and also foreign students who speak English and acquiring Hebrew as a L2 in Tel Aviv universities. They helped me a lot, and also I searched on the corpus to examine the ideas from the previous reference materials and also to find out some examples. In the speech act theory, speakers can achieve propositions in their utterance in these 5 dimensions, which is the assertive, the commissive, the directive, the declaratory, and the expressive. And I followed the Natalie Mayer and Shiget Baran's research idea to check about the third dimension, which is the directive. And the speakers will achieve the directive point when they make an attempt to get the addressees to do something. And also, I will show my data from the Hebrew and English corpus to compare 2 kinds of speech act discourse, which is to request and to apologize. Firstly, I check the social act of the request in 2 different languages. In Hebrew, the most common phrases to deliver the order of the request, it is a phrase "bevaksha." Its translation synonym in the English is please. According to Baran and Mayer's declaration, English speakers who learn Hebrew as a L2 are hard to accommodate to the more direct request models of Hebrew. So what is the direct request models? Let's see in the corpus. Tapped in the Berkshire of the net corpus, there is about 4788 context results. The top 3 frequent usage of Berkshire is the first one called prep mode. And I show this on the pictures, just like 1, 2, or 3. Please from you, please ask me, please of you. It is the word Berkshire directly plus the pronoun and the PPs. And the second frequency usage is directly as the grammatical relation of subject. For example, please loading. And the third frequency, it is called excope, which means that the grammatical relation is Berkshire plus verb. For example, forgive, delay. However, when I say the English place in the corpus data, different from Hebrew, which is used to directly use pronoun or use subjective plus phrases like claims, reminder, answer, etc. English place has a more frequency of combined with modifiers. Some adjectives or verbs are also often modified by place. And these are the most frequency of adverbs which modified by place. Kindly, also, prayerfully, etc. And I also search for the corpus of thesaurus data. It means in the syntax with which can be the synonym substitute data in the context to replace the Berkshire place. And the results are follow. For example, will protect me when I'm done. And it is very directly expresses than English. As we can conclude that in Hebrew, place usually use more directly with proper use. For example, combined with PP or pronoun, or just as subjective use itself. English, however, has a high rate use of modifiers and often used with euphemistic modal particles or with events which weaken the meaning of place. This word itself and emphasizes its role of politeness. And interestingly, in this two sentences have a similar semantic meanings with different language. Usually, the Hebrew speakers will feel comfortable to agree the idea that book a taxi, but the English speaker who reads the Hebrew version of can book a taxi with it together, they usually don't like the idea that book a taxi together. I think that's because people tend to bring their native language thinking into their second language. And when I compared sorry and sliha, which is the Hebrew version of sorry, and in the corpus, we can see similar results that English sorry is highly combined by the modified. For example, I'm terribly sorry, sincerely sorry, deeply sorry. And the Hebrew data, however, are more rich on the can be quite ambiguous to the people who don't speak Hebrew. The most frequency data is sorry in advance, and second one is to. The third one is sin. And again, we look up the serious corpus. English symphony can be I'm glad that, I'm so sad that, to replace the term of sorry. But in the Hebrew tongue, there are not so many terms like this, just pray, well, thanks, or things like that. And from this data, and also I asked my friends that about apology is different from between English and Hebrew. Hebrew's apology, because of the usage of the word more directly without the modifiers like English, Hebrew way of apologize seldom accustomed of the ways of taking responsibilities. For example, I will add, how can I make up my mistakes? But English are more accustomed to taking specific responsibility of the mistake in the context. So this kind of specifiers like kindly, I'm glad, this kind of modifiers combined with English like kindly, sincerely, accustomed to a more indirectly styles to show the manner and responsibility of the apologies. And here is one example I found in the Hebrew way of the apologies. And when I translate it into English, and we can see the difference is obvious. And also refer to Mayer's conclusion. Hebrew speakers who is studying English as a L2, they will tend to be use more stronger modifiers than the native English speakers. That's because this kind of element which is empty in their language in Hebrew,